Hey there, so today we have another review. This is a beer from Jolly Pumpkin. Katie picked this one out. I believe I've actually reviewed this one before. This is Jolly Pumpkin Aura. Love the Art Nouveau kind of style on it. This is a Belgian style ale. I don't know why they say cheers, mahalo plenty. Isn't mahalo like a Hawaiian thing? Even though this is like a very, very, very Michigan brewery. Who knows? This is their 8% take on a wild artisanal golden ale, spicy and peppery. So it's sort of, I mean, I can only imagine the base recipe being something like a Belgian triple or Belgian golden strong ale, and then they oak age it, have a mixed fermentation kind of base recipe or base house strain that they throw into the beer. So the beer actually is very light. So probably the base is more towards Belgian golden strong ale versus triple. It is very pale. I can already smell the house culture on it just by cracking it. Has a medium minus haze to it. Wonderful eggshell white head. Looks really nice. Wow. On the nose, it's got a lot going on. I mean, lactic, acetic, definitely sour, definitely a little bit funky. The Brett, that kind of mouth-watering acidity comes in. I'm curious what the mouth-watering part. It's just acidity. Acidity is pretty mouth-watering, so it has a little bit of that acidic, a little bit of pickly thing, quite light. Definitely sort of that kind of like, I mean, some people call hay. I call like wet water, like wetness, which is actually it's actually wetness and kind of this pond thing, and I mean it's actually a chemical called geosmin. Actually, with Adam Bergusia, if you guys are on YouTube about food, he does a video about that. But I don't know, something like funky. So geosmin sometimes for me. I think it's literally the smell of like wetness and like damp earth. But I is that Brett then? I guess not Brett. Brett just has curious what compounds Brett makes it. Like has these possibly produces geosmin, but mostly lively acidity. You really don't get too much kind of Belgian character or anything specifically about it. It just smells like American mixed fermentation beer. A little bit of nail polish remover in there, ethyl acetate. See, that's crazy. Despite all that like funkiness and acidity and all that stuff on the nose, like you're looking to get into something that's going to be acidic. This beer is really not acidic at all. That's so weird. Why do I smell all that? It could just be the ethyl acetate. It could just be ethyl acetate. Ethyl acetate is an ester that's produced um, with a combination of like ethanol and acetic acid, and it is the most prevalent ester. I believe it's the most notable ester or the highest volume ester that you're going to have in beer, but the threshold is relatively high to notice it. So a lot of your beers will have it, but it really needs an extremely high amount to be noticeable. And I guess that's what I get. So I guess that ester also is produced along with acetic acid, lactic acid, blah blah, from mixed fermentation. So I carry that on the nose to be this is going to be sour, but on the palate it is not. All this Savannah Cicerone stuff, right? The beer is wonderfully dry. Has a little bit of this kind of Hill Farmstead thing, right? Where it's like maybe lightly tart, maybe a little bit Belgian-y. I would never guess this is a base recipe for a Belgian Golden Strong Ale. And then this beer is freaking 8%. Like this will get you destroyed. Destroyed. It is 8%. It honestly drinks like one of these Hill Farmstead beers or another one of these Jolly Pumpkin beers. Crushable, 4 or 5%. Don't even think about it. 6 at highest. They talk about spicy peppery. Again, it's so hidden. Looking for these Belgian characteristics. Instead, I get a little bit of light lemon thing, a little bit of limey quality, citrus, slightly tart, light and doughy, a little bit funky. Like I smell the acetic, but I really don't get much acid on here, like actual acid, like pickle juice acid. Get more light, yogurty bite. Um, there's a little bit doughiness in here, and then there's this kind of like what is crap? There's like a little bit of this kind of like yeah, it's the funk. The funk. It's funky. It's got that classic. I mean, I have to imagine the strain of whatever Hill Farmstead's using had has to have some kind of either actually pulled from Jolly Pumpkin or influenced by Jolly Pumpkin, or it's just like aligned because it has this Hill Farmstead kind of like again I think of like wetness, like ponds and like dampness and like minerality, wetness, pond, minerality, like the people call like horse blanket and hay. Like again, I go the other way. So again, these scripts was really hard because like you're built on your scripts are based on your upbringing too. I never grew up on a farm. I probably like been around one, but those smells and tastes that I get from New York City are different from if you lived in rural Oklahoma or whatever. So, insanely crushable. This is just world class beer. Absolutely insane that it comes in 4 packs. Absolutely insane the price point that they're able to do on it. I love the bright character. The house strain is absolutely insane. Drinkability is nuts. This beer gets a solid 96. It's just 96 Oro, John Pumpkin. Until next time, cheers later.